Good afternoon. My name's Rodney Glover. I am the candidate for governor for Florida. And there are a lot of things that I believe a lot of citizens just don't know. So when you go to argue, or when you go to have these opinions, you need to understand what is actually wrong. So when I tell you to go to glover2026.com, please go there. When you go there, you're going to hit the plan. If you look at the plan, immediately you're going to see 5 state executive officials who cannot be recalled. This means they are not accountable to the citizens. We have the governor, the lieutenant governor, the attorney general, the CFO, and the commissioner of agriculture. 160 state legislators, 40 state senators, 120 state representatives across all Florida districts that cannot be held accountable. 536 county constitutional officers, sheriffs, tax collectors, property appraisers, clerk, computer controller, supervisor of elections, state attorney, public defenders, 335 school board members. These are the people who make up the school board across all 67 Florida counties, 5 members per county. Over 1,036 individuals who shape what's happening in our state cannot be held accountable. Click on flowchart. You see it says no recall under the current law. That is also no accountability under the current law. If you click that, it's going to take you directly to the law. This is the law that's defining how and who you can hold accountable. None of those individuals are in the recall law itself. This is what I am trying to get all citizens to understand. When you go look at the law, they're not there. You cannot hold them accountable. What we're trying to do is, if you get me on the ballot, when we get to the ballot, we're going to change that. Now everything's green because we changed the law. Now everyone is accountable to citizens. Without getting us there, no accountability. What we're trying to do is actually implement this amendment right here, which is going to give you direct voting power, which is going to give you the authority to task officials, which is going to give you more access to recall elections by way of this amendment right here. How do we use the power? There it is right there in Section B. The 3 powers citizens will have: direct voting power, authority to task officials, and citizens recall elections. Citizens shall have the right to remove any elected officials at any level of government through recall election. Now you need to understand why. Now you've seen it's there. The information is there. The pathway is there to being able to do this. You're gonna have to start explaining to each other why your Republican or Democratic or independent or non-party candidate is not asking to change the rules. Because if we don't change the rules, we're still going to have the same problem no matter who sits the seat. And that is that the people who they're asking to put them in the seat, they're not accountable to by law. That law will not mention calling your particular congressman or congresswoman. That law is not going to tell you that if you protest, things are going to change. The law says who you can have access to and who you cannot. I've shown you who you do not have access to. What are you waiting on to give me the support necessary by way of just turning in a petition so that we can get this access? If you're telling me that that information that I've told you about and that you can read on your own is false, please point out the law that has superseded this or already is in place that changes that. Everyone is waiting. Anyone who's locked in, we're waiting to hear it. But I can tell you, I've done the research. That law is in effect currently. How we can hold these individuals accountable is if we can change the laws at its core. And that is why I'm running for governor for Florida.